Hello, and welcome to the AI Effect in Pharma Commercial Strategy, from data to real-time insights and actions. There's a Pharma Forum webinar brought to you by Trueblue. I'm your host, Eloise McLennan. I am Pharma Forum's deep dive editor, and I'll be your moderator for today. Now, as the race to deliver personalised engagement at scale heats up, artificial intelligence has become a critical differentiator for pharma companies. But it's not always as easy as it seems, and some companies are struggling to implement and scale AI solutions in a way that delivers measurable impact effectively. So to discuss this subject today, I have a fantastic panel of speakers to join us. Joining me, I have Legrand, who is Vice President of Strategy and Partnerships at Trueblue, Sergio Romoli, who is Chief Commercial Officer at Trueblue, Andrew Graley, who is Healthcare and Life Sciences Industry Advisor, EMEA at Microsoft, and Enric Sabata, who is Global Insights Analytics Solutions and Strategy Lead in Global Medical Affairs at Boehringer Ingelheim. Together, we'll be discussing how life sciences organizations can leverage the power of AI-driven insights to revolutionize decision-making, enhance customer engagement, and gain a competitive edge. But before we start asking questions to our panelists, I have some questions for you. Specifically, we want to know what stage of adoption your organization is at when it comes to AI. Are you just exploring ideas, developing a strategy, implementing solutions, or scaling and optimizing AI solutions? We want to know where you are and what stage of the journey you're going through. This will give us a bit of an understanding as to where we're going with today's topics. So, while we're waiting for your insights, all you have to do is click on the subject or the answer that you're looking for in the box underneath your screen. I'm just going to go over some housekeeping notes for you. First and foremost, we will have a question and answer section later on in the session for you. We want to know your questions. We have a huge panel. We have lots of questions to get through today, but we do want to hear from you as well. So if you have a question, please do get it into us using that box underneath your video screen. We will do our best to get through as many as we can later in the session. We will also be live LinkedIn posting throughout the session. So if you have a key insight that you are looking for to share, or you just want to get involved in the conversation, take it to LinkedIn, where you'll find our fantastic Pharma Forum team behind the scenes posting the highlights from today's talk. And finally, if you're looking to revisit on demand, this session will be available. As always, we will have links sent out via email after the session, and you'll be able to find all the details on pharmaforum.com. And I did forget to mention, if you're looking for the LinkedIn, use the hashtag #PPWebinar. Right, so we've had a few responses to our first poll. We've got a couple of polls for you today. So the first poll, I'm going to end that now, and we have 66% of people say they're just exploring ideas. That's very interesting. And 33% are developing a strategy. Not entirely surprising given where we are in the stage of AI integration at the moment, but very interesting to know. Right, so I'm going to launch our second poll now. And once we have launched that, bear with me one moment. So our next poll is, what do you see as the biggest barrier to implementing AI in your organization? This is a key one. Is it lack of data quality and governance, high cost of implementation, resistance to change within teams, or unclear ROI? While we wait on those poll results, I'm going to hand you over to the first of today's speaker, Sergio Romoli, who is going to set the scene for today's discussion, and Legrand is going to take over in a few moments as well. So Sergio, do you want to take it away?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your warm introduction, and thank you all the people attending this webinar. And I'm very happy to be here to share our experience in that. So in a nutshell, who we are a software company in Verona, in Italy, northern part of Italy. And we are in the market since 25 years. And what it distinguishes ourselves is simply that we have a deep knowledge of the pharma commercial. We have been focusing on this market since the beginning. Our mission today is to bring innovation to the AI commercial platform, to commercial pharma. And how we do that? We do that being really pragmatic in using technology. So what we believe is our saying that we never use the technology for technology itself, but just if we see some value for our customer. And this has been proven over the last 25 years with 80K users around the world, covering 96 countries, more than 100 customers, all of them in the pharma commercial area. And and given what you're talking about today, the AI, we have been implementing into our solution AI technology over the last 5 years. So now there is a big eye on AI, but we started to do many years ago. And again, we were always following the path of using the technology where the business value is. In our solution, you can find AI, whatever is just necessary, not whatever it can give you a wow effect. So, and of course, in terms of product coverage that we offer our expertise in pharma in a consulting way, but also from selling, offering to our customer a CRM solution infused with AI and a data platform infused with AI as well. So without further ado, let me hand over to Shar, and let's say talk later.
Thank you, Sergio. So I'm going to walk you through a quick introduction into artificial intelligence and the different types there is. Hopefully, since it's been around now for quite a while, what I'm going to present is not going to be so many new things, but it's just to help us get on the same page since we're talking about artificial intelligence and the impact of it in the industry. So the way we are working with clients, we see AI as any type of simulation that's mimicking human intelligence using computer or machine systems. Within AI, there are, of course, many different types of artificial intelligence you can use. 3 of the common types that we see working with our clients is machine learning, decision tree models, and generative AI. And you see on the slide some sub-segments within that of different types of data models or algorithms that you can use to design your artificial intelligence systems. And each type of model is suitable for different types of situations. So I guess the main takeaway is there are many types of tools or many types of AI that can be used to enhance and drive transformation in your organization. And it's important to consider what's the right type to solve the specific objective that you're looking for and the constraints that you're working with. Within life science, we're a fairly conservative sector compared to different industries. But what we wanted to show is where is artificial intelligence being used in today's world and where we've seen the most impact. So as you'd expect, R&D and product is one of the key areas, but then we have service operations and marketing and sales very soon after that as well. So these 3 areas dominate the most functional impact of artificial intelligence within the sector. Then diving a little bit deeper into what are the different use cases. So different organizations will have different types of objectives that they're trying to fill. So we work very closely with the commercial and medical function, specifically that work on HCP engagement. So what we're outlining here are some of the use cases that our clients are working on as they're trying to improve or enhance that HCP engagement through the use of AI. And these use cases, there's no one way to do or achieve the use case. So some of the numbers that are coming up now in the slide, what it's outlining is the different types of AI models or different types of AI technologies that can be used to achieve those things. So it's to say that there are multiple ways to achieve the same use case, and that how you get there is dependent on what are your business needs and the situation. And last, what we wanted to share is some of the common pitfalls or challenges that we see within the organization. So majority of the clients that we work with, while there's a big ambition towards adopting AI, some of the considerations within the sector is looking at things like technical issues such as data quality, integration, customization, and particularly how to run artificial intelligence tools at scale. There's also an element of people and cultural challenges from change management, as well as the skills and capability gaps. Within the financial challenges, managing the cost of scaling, as well as the specific ROI to ensure that you're managing the benefits that you aim to achieve with your AI can be a bit of a challenge for organizations. And lastly, in ethics and compliance. So within AI, there's many considerations for how the ethics should be managed, as well as how can we be compliant while using different AI technologies. So these are often some of the challenges that we work with our clients to iron out and see how they can move to scale AI to drive transformation within the commercial teams. So I think this sort of covers the theoretical part of the presentation. So I'll hand back over to Eloise so we can dive straight into the discussions.
Fantastic. Yes, I think that's a really interesting way to open it, is because we talk about AI as if it's this all-encompassing umbrella term where everything fits neatly under it, but there are so many different working parts. Now, going back to our second poll, the results are in, and it's an interesting one. So when asked what you see as the biggest barrier to implementation of AI in your organization, we had 14% said lack of data quality in government. We had 28% said high cost of implementation. A very surprising one for me, or perhaps not so surprising, 0% resistance to change within teams. And unclear ROI was 57%. So we know that there is real interest in exploring these new technologies, but perhaps a little bit of uncertainty around how to do it at scale, which is good because that's what we're going to be discussing today. So I think perhaps, Andrew, you may be one of the best placed people to talk about AI, given that AI is such a big focus for Microsoft over the years. How are you seeing AI's impact on the life science industry, particularly in being a driver for smarter decision-making and personalized customer engagement?
Yeah. Hi, everybody. So it's what a fantastic time to be in the tech industry. We're seeing now all of the development that's happened over the last 20 years in AI and generally in accessing data now coming to fruition, and the excitement, we've gone through that excitement curve of AI assistance over the last couple of years. If you take a look at the news stories with the partnerships that Microsoft has with OpenAI, but then also what we've developed and what Microsoft developed as a core platform to enable AI to democratize data across the enterprise, across commercial, but also in with consumer use as well. It's having an immense impact in what we're doing and how we're doing in our daily basis, on a daily basis. So the emergence of right now, it feels like AI assistants are really helping organizations not just grasp AI in the day-to-day work, but also see the benefit and the return on those investments. And the impact is profound. We're enabling, like you said, Louise, we're enabling smarter decision-making because we're opening up data with AI. And now that could be data that's stored internally on your own, in your own enterprise, in your own organization, but it's also publicly accessible data as well. The wealth of information that's gone before us, that other people have created, all helps with those language models, those AI models, the machine learning. The AI assistant is where it all comes together. And it's helping us specifically in pharma, in the pharma industry. I've seen, like, over the last 5 years, I work with some of the world's largest pharma organizations, And we can see that their investment is increasing because of the way that they're realizing the benefit of faster decision making, more insights into data. The data that they have, some of these organizations have got 30, 20 years worth of data. Now they're actually being used properly to start creating informed decisions. So for me, I stretch right across the whole value chain in pharma. So starting off at R&D, early science, molecule discovery, we're seeing how we can use AI to spot the patterns for molecules that may be useful in certain diseases. But then when we get down the further end of the value chain that we're talking about today, in the commercial sector, it's like where we're using AI, it's incredible, the feedback that we get from our customers with the ideas that they have as well. So we've created this foundation and these tools and platforms that allow creativity with AI, but then open up more and more. So like supply chain, improving supply chain, in manufacturing, improving the manufacturing process at the shop floor. But then when you get into pharma commercial in particular, some of the really elementary use cases like call preparation for reps, faster content creation, almost instantaneous from approved materials. It's really revolutionizing the way that we're taking away the burden of time that it takes to go through these previously manual tasks, now giving that back to those organizers, to the sales reps, to the medical teams, that they can actually have this personalized engagement more. And I've got some figures. Microsoft loves spreadsheets and figures, and some of the research that we've conducted and market research from our partners as well. We're seeing that substantial returns on investment in AI are ranging from the basic 20% right the way through to, in some cases, an 800% return on the use of AI. That could be in you're finding candidate molecules, or it could even be in an area of finding patients at a HCP that have been miscoded or misdiagnosed. That kind of market access information where AI is enabling that approach is just phenomenal. And so we're seeing a huge curve on the return on investment that organizations are making. IDC report that there's about 87% of organizations give them AI gives them a competitive edge, which is phenomenal. So they're investigating, they're adopting, and they're training their workforce. The AI is not going to replace them, it's going to enhance what they do and make it more smarter for the tasks that they have. And they go on to say that for every dollar invested at a minimum with an AI assistant, you're looking at about 3.5 times return on that investment. And it's just an amazing time to be. So the journey that we're on with Microsoft and our partners like Trueblue, our customers like Boehringer and Enric here, they're feeding back to us what's most useful for them, where they want to see the benefit, and we're constantly evolving. So the early days of the ChatGPT type of approach, which is still cutting edge. We've tend to forget it's still cutting edge to a lot of pharma customers, is now evolving into using AI assistants that embed themselves in a day-to-day task for these organizations. I'm quite excited about AI, but I'll hand it back to you, Louise, for the next question.
I think that's a really interesting point about 2 points, particularly the data, the amount of data that we have, because while AI, particularly Gen AI, is something that we are really in the midst of the hype cycle for, AI in healthcare has been around for a very long time. The quote that I keep hearing is, we stand on the shoulders of giants when we talk about this technological revolution. But for those on the front lines, it may seem like quite a new thing. And Enric, from your perspective as an insights leader from Boehringer Ingelheim, the global pharma leader, what's your experience been like with the reality of AI's impact? And is it that hyperbolic threat that we keep hearing about, or is it that opportunities that Andrew was talking about? And what steps have you taken to explore the potential of AI within your organization?
Thank you, Louise, and thank you, Andrew, for the introduction. I think it's great because it sounds like a perfect match. Pharma is a very regulated environment, a lot of data, long term, a lot of silos, a lot of data sets and different standards, and AI can help here in different ways. And you mentioned R&D, but as well when we go to commercialization processes, MLR, many of the steps that we have in pharma at the moment are very labor intensive, very labor and skill intensive, and this hinders us in a way to accelerate. For me, it's a clear opportunity with some question marks as well. But we have seen the last couple of years with ChatGPT, OpenAI, on all of these LLMs, a commoditization. So it's easier to access, it's easy to try it, it's easy to learn and pivot, and then decide what's the perfect fit. So for me, it's a clear opportunity. I've been myself in this area for a couple of years now in different approaches, internal, external, hybrids, different types of AI, and there is no perfect match. So as this technology changes very fast, it changes as well the approaches, your data, and so on. So maybe a little bit as an example what we're doing with AI and why it's important to us. Thinking of the commercialization, thinking of the medical role, for those that are well adversed in pharma, you know the role of MSLs, medical advisors, or sales consultants, talking to customers every day. And I always give this analogy. We always tell them they are customer-facing teams. They're equipped with the best materials, the best trainings, and they're super clever people that go out and talk to our customers or potential customers. I try to tend the term to ears customer or listening customer-facing teams because they are the ears of the organization. So it's just not about going out. What do you learn, and how do we equip them that we learn about all these thousands of customer engagements or interactions, and we make sense of this data. So for us, it's a clear win. We have a lot of unstructured data. It's a lot of multi-dimensions, different times, and coming from different sources. So for us, AI is helping us a lot already now, and we hope it will even get better in the future. So because we can do a lot of things, and you, Andrew, were alluding to, we can be very creative. Just the other day, we're exploring, can we turn a 20 pages PowerPoint into a podcast? Yes, we did it, but not everybody likes it. So we still have people that like to look at my PowerPoint slides. So to make sure that we're not just doing things because we can, we have a kind of a decision-making process. So when we get into a new use case or an application in the remit I'm working on, we look at, can we increase the speed? So is there a process we can make it faster, make it more efficient? Can we increase the data quality? And I think it was mentioned before, oftentimes when you have a lot of data, odds are quite high that you'll have either some rubbish or data that is not harmonized. Or so we can use AI to standardize it. As an example, translate it, tag it, apply some ontologies. The other, and it's obvious, I'm not surprised about the ROI question in the survey, reduce cost. We have a lot of cost through these intensive activities that we're doing. Can we reduce steps? Can we reduce the amount of clicks? Can we shorten the process? And as well, does it fit the strategy? Is it helping us getting closer to the patients? Is it helping us improving the commercialization and the experience of our colleagues and as well customers? This will be in a nutshell. So there's a lot of opportunities. It's a clear go, but there are question marks and some areas that one needs to consider.
So a lot about innovation, but innovation with purpose. So there's lots of, as you say, with the turning presentation into a podcast, there's a lot of exciting opportunities, but we have to make sure that we're doing it responsibly and making sure that we are investing where it's going to have the most impact. Now, Charm, you've been working with life science commercials for every day on their data and AI strategy. Where are you seeing the biggest focus area for using AI to enhance customer engagement?
That's a great question, Eloise. So, as we know, the life science sector is going through a lot of transformation at the moment, and particularly in the space of customer engagement, because this is a big lifeblood for the company. So, when working with our clients, we've seen three sort of hot topics and focus areas that we're working with. The first being the omni-channel engagement. So, generative AI specifically has been a big enabler of driving personalization at scale and being able to scale that across many channels as well. So one client that we're working with, we're looking at how can we do more automated marketing journeys that have a more personalized content and a journey approach as well. So for example, evaluating the customer segments in a more automated and dynamic way through the use of AI, and then designing the touch points, the multi-touch points of the omni-channel journeys in a more automated way, that where they can use AI to analyze the past behaviors or the interaction preferences of the different groups, and design that journey in a more dynamic way, as opposed to someone manually having to have static journeys that don't change. And then also exploring how can we match that with content that's going to be relevant to those journeys as well. And of course, generative AI plays a big role in helping leverage existing content libraries or existing assets to create personalized messaging that can help drive that messages to the right stakeholders at the right time. Second area that we're seeing impact is the field force, and how we can make it easier for the field force to have more meaningful conversations with HCPs or different stakeholders that they're meeting with, and what role data and AI play in enabling this. So one of the main solutions that we have at Trueblue is a CRM platform called Idea Sales, which comes with a pre-built AI voice assistant. So this is used by field force reps as well as MSLs. And within this tool, one of the some of the key areas we're looking at embedding AI is, for example, pre-call planning. How can we use AI to recommend the best approach or the topics of discussions for a particular HCP based on the interests that they've provided to the pharma company, and also looking at how can they tailor some of the content that's being presented that can help build a more meaningful relationship. Other benefits like call transcriptions can help not only automate some of the follow-up activities, such as putting the post-call summarizations and follow-up actions, but also then it opens up new ways of evaluating your HCP relationships. For example, using AI for pattern recognition or sentiment analysis, so that you can see different themes across different feedback that's coming from the customer base that you're working with. And then you can use that to really enhance how you engage different territories. And the last area is the fundamentals. So your data and AI strategy, how can you actually get the basics right and get started? I think in the first poll that you ran, many of the folks said they're in the early stages. So while AI is a very innovative topic for a lot of companies, many of our clients really struggle just where to get started and what to look at. So we work with them to understand what are their business priorities, where are the objectives or business value drivers that's going to come from AI, how are they going to identify the right use cases that's going to be a quick win or feasible at the stage they're in now, and how does that roadmap look like, balancing the level of investment that they have to invest, as well as the speed they're able to execute at, and then of course the value that they want to achieve. So having some focus around just having a clear strategy with an expert can really help our clients to have that guided approach and really work out the quickest way to achieve the impact that they want.
And just building on that idea of creating the strategy, Charm, you gave a few examples of sort of considerations, but Sergio, I'd just like to get your input on this as well. What do you think should be key considerations for commercial teams when they're developing that AI strategy?
Thank you for your question. This is a really great question. But I think, I was thinking about that. I think you should follow kind of 5 recommendations. One is something that you have to do, and 4 of them is something you don't have to do. Right? So what you have to do is get to the basic of technology innovation. So always think about where the business value is. Don't fall in what I call the boardroom expectation task. In some of our customers, we were having some weird conversation. Oh, the board is very excited about AI. We need to do something in AI. I need to give me some use case to do that because I need to have a presentation in 2 months and I need to deliver, otherwise I get fired. Something like that. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but I don't think to be far away in many cases. So this is a typical, what I call boardroom expectation task. When you put yourself, and always this time, if you're lucky, maybe you can get something done, but in 99% of the case, this is the recipe for failure. So again, get back to what is your business, what are you really looking to improve, and once you find out, then think about the technology and use just this little piece of technology that is useful for that particular purpose, right? Which seems something very easy and straightforward, but trust me, this is not the way many customers are behaving. This is the reality. I don't know, this is what is happening, at least from my perception. And so the first list of don't be scared of failing. Too many times, people fall in another trap of endless business case and endless justification of something that is new. It's something that is possible by nature. So anytime the boardroom or the manager and I say, okay, I give you this foundation, but you need to prove me that it will work. Guys, we are talking about something new, innovation. It's always complicated to prove that something works based on a trusted and known technology. What can be so close to reality? Of course, it's a good exercise, mindful. It's a good framework to follow. Fine. I've been doing in my career so for business case of technology for so many years. So I'm not saying you should not do that, but don't fall in the trap of looking for the best business case to prove that something that you are looking for in your experiment will end somewhere. And especially for the AI, but that was true in all the. So I'm senior enough to have seen so many technology ways and excitement. Don't look for the perfect result. I've been talking with some of our customers that, for example, okay, so I understand too, but anytime there are something that the answer is not perfect, we all know that it will never be perfect. AI, it's the LLM model are, let's say, something that predict a word after a word, and sometimes are really good at time, but it's not the source of truth. Just because it's called artificial intelligence, which looks like a superior level of intelligence above the human one. But in any case, good enough. So just look for the good enough, because the most important thing is you learning about that. So the best value of this trial and error is that you learn and you understand and you will refine, and then at a certain point in time, you will be ready, lucky, or good enough to spot a place to get the value out of this. And the last but not least, don't forget about data foundation, right? So garbage in, garbage out is always, it's a kind of a fourth law of thermodynamics, right? It's always, anytime that you talk about computer, program, and software, garbage in, garbage out. So whenever you want to build something, don't forget about the foundation and start working in parallel on top of that. I hope I was extensive in my answer.
I think garbage in, garbage out is a good lead into my next question, because as you were mentioning, artificial intelligence, it's not actually thinking in the way that we understand humans to think. It is trained on information and data, and it is as good as the information and data that you feed into it. And data, including data quality and governance, is such a key factor for the success of AI solutions. But for many commercial teams, the topic of data can be sort of outside of their remit of responsibilities. So I think, Andrew, I think you're probably the best suited to answer this. What advice would you give to commercial and medical teams to help influence the IT sort of data leadership counterparts and accelerate that AI journey?
Yeah, well, great statement from Sergio, and I can't agree more. Poor data in gets poor results out. So the data and the governance of the data, it's really crucial for the success of an AI project, no matter what part of the business value chain and pharma that you're gonna deploy this or experiment with. In my experience, I think from what I've observed over my career, especially with AI, is in this kind of particular area for commercial leaders, commercial and medical. I think it's a journey with a team. I think you've got to engage multiple stakeholders in the business where the data, because there's so many data modalities that need to feed into these tasks to help with AI. That governance involves IT. It involves stakeholders for data and architects. So the person that's going to use that can reliably, in the knowledge, use that information that it's trained or it's grounded in what the pharma organization is using. And I'm not sure if it's a word to everybody that's online with us today, but these models, they can be trained to use your own internal data. So nothing that can influence from outside. So in such a heavily regulated, governed industry, then one of the things that we've got to make sure of is that we can use the data internally. So the rep or the medical writer or whoever's going to use this product, this solution, can do it in a degree of confidence that it's been trained on their own data. You can augment it with real-world evidence externally that can come from approved sources. So there's a whole governance procedure around that about where's that data going to come from, and that's really where we have IT and data leadership. Because guess what? They're going to become a hero. They've got all of the tools, they've got the skills, they've got the resources to bring all of this data together. They're the people that we're going to rely on as a commercial team. Or as a medical writer, or when we come to use these solutions, they're the people that will keep everything running and will mean that I'll do it in a regulated, approved way. I think that's really one of the key things, is to have your IT data architect, business partner, either internally or hired in from external as well, with that outside world knowledge that can help the project or help the program become successful as well. I think it's also really important that you've got to emphasize on the quality of the data. Just like if we're going to provide insight, if we're going to have decisions made on that data, we've got to be sure of the quality of that data. Now, I mentioned earlier about some of this data could be from a clinical trial from 20 years ago. It's still relevant. It might not be as complete as what we're collecting these days, but it's still really useful. So there's AI that can help with that. But I think also you've got to have a knowledge of where, like a catalog approach or a standards approach of what is the gold, silver, bronze standard of the data that we're going to be using to help make these decisions and help speed up that decision making, that process as well. And I think it's as part of this collective, as part of the team with the various stakeholders involved, I think up front we've got to agree what the success of what the measure of success looks like. So that's going to be agreed like outright. The patient impact is fundamental to our mutual customers, the HCPs, getting the drugs into the hands of the doctors, of the team, the clinics, to treat those patients is the utmost driver for a lot of pharma organizations. But then what are the other factors that need to be measured that will say, yeah, this project is successful, this program is successful? And if it's access to a market, if it's speed to creating content, get those agreed at the outset and measure them as you go along. And like Sergio said, if there's something that's failing, you can address that and tweak its course. You can adjust it to start actually getting the results that you want to expect. Or you move on to the next part of this development as well. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think combined, yourself and Sergio, the idea of taking something that isn't working and trying to force it to work is unlikely to find success, but taking something that isn't working and learning from that and then putting that into the next project can help to get yourselves to the next level faster, as many people wish to do. Now, just before I move on to my next question, I just want to remind the audience that we are going to have a Q&A session at the end of my questions to the panel. So if you have a question for anybody, or if you would like to know anything regarding AI and commercialization, please do get your questions into us. We'll try and get through as many of them as we can. So we were speaking a little bit, Andrew spoke a moment ago about understanding what you need out of an AI solution and then moving forward with that. And one of the biggest parts of that is, where are you getting your AI systems from? Are you building them in-house? Are you getting a build and play solution, or are you partnering with external providers? So Enric, I'd like to hear your thoughts on when considering the deployment of AI solutions. How should organizations go about deciding whether they're going to build solutions internally, buy off-the-shelf technologies, or partner with those external providers? What factors should guide these decisions?
Well, it depends a lot of the organization. So depending on the maturity of the organization, the resources, the capabilities in both IT, business, all the departments. So I would say there is no silver bullet, there is no perfect answer, but there are a couple of moving parts that can help you make this decision. First, do you have a process in place? And back to Andrew's comment as well, if you have a good process, this process is working without AI, can you see which parts of the process can be automatized? Can you reduce the steps? Can we make it better with AI? As an example, you should never outsource a problem, right? If you have a problem or you have a process not working, you just don't put AI and it will work. It could work, but it's not recommendable. Or just going to find a partner externally and say, we have a problem, we have not been able to fix it, go and fix it for us because we don't understand our processes. So I would not recommend. So first, start with a group process or a framework, like why are we doing it? The second is, if we're successful, are we generating more value? So if it works well, and if we iterate and try to make it better, because we'll fail at the beginning, perhaps. So if we do it well and we're successful, will this be adding value? Yes. And then it's when you have those two things, like you have a process, you have a value proposition, is where I will follow the recommendation of Andrew. Talk to your IT colleagues or bring them on board. Talk to your data protection, compliances, and all these teams that they need to understand the purpose. So we have an objective. This is, if we are successful, we're going to achieve this and the other. And then you start looking at, what do we have? Do we have good data? Is this data rich? Is it accessible? Is it multimodal? Like we have different formats and different ways. And then you will see the dimension of the problem. So can you handle it with your own organization, or do you need to go outside as well, or bring an hybrid mode? And then, of course, saying, do we have the resources? Is this for the organization a priority? Can we address it with the given resources, or do we need to bring others? And then through these questions, you will already find some of the answers. And then one of the trends or threats as well I see is, there is AI is going to be in all applications. I was joking the other day that probably we'll have AI in Notepad and every application in the future. So how do you orchestrate all of this? Because if you're running a process in one technology and you're running it in another technology, they give you disparate results or inconsistent. You might need to look into that. So as well as you grow, how do you connect all those AI-driven processes and outcomes? And basically that's it, and it's a journey. So it will iterate. This technology is changing a lot from close integrated in your devices, in your software, or in external softwares, or being kept open. But I think it's a journey, and you need to consider that pieces of this journey will change as you evolve.
And just to follow that up, you mentioned the journey and that need to work with, as Andrew said, the IT teams. How important is sort of transparency between teams in making sure that everybody understands who is in charge of what, who to go to for answers? Because one of the key challenges that we discussed earlier is the idea that it's not always as clear as it would be with other systems which we're more familiar with using. So how important is that transparency and laying out a sort of an organizational chart of who to address to avoid, as Sergio mentioned, the boardroom expectation push? I'm going to give that to Enric, if you can.
Okay, I will take that one. There are two aspects. One is, and I had an anecdote the other day when I was asking, are you using AI at work? And they say, no, we're not using AI at work. I said, but you're using Teams. Don't you see those auto responses? Many things that they are not even aware that they're already using it, and it's embedded. And then the other is making clear this is going to change, and we need you to be in that part of that change. So being from the technology, from the access to that technology, or how we use it. Because a typical example, we need to do prompt training to everyone in the organization. No, try to customize the solution so that it works for them, right? So instead of trying to make it accessible so that they don't even realize that they need to get into AI, so it needs to be embedded in the way so they work. And we have seen this at your own personal devices, that they are smarter than we expect them. So we need to bring this kind of technology as well to the organizations.
It's almost creating those more natural working systems rather than jarring working systems that you have to train up an entire workforce to use.
So ideally, in 1 or 2 years from now, we'll say we're just doing the project. Of course, it has AI. We don't need to talk. It has AI. It's just a good project because it's the process and it's the end in mind, not the technology that changes.
I think that's a really interesting point, that in 100 years we won't even think about it, and we won't be having the discussion of when. Are you talking about predictive text? Are you talking about large language models? What kind of AI are you talking about? It will just be as ubiquitous as talking about electricity. So we just spoke a little bit about some of the challenges. Charm, I'd like to get your insights on what the typical challenges are that you're seeing pharma companies facing when implementing AI solutions. And we saw in the poll earlier that an unclear ROI was one of the key aspects that the viewers identified. So how can we overcome? So what are the challenges, first of all, and then how can we overcome them? Oh, hang on, you're muted.
There we go. So 3 areas that we see common challenges: data quality, ROI, as you mentioned, and also change management. So data quality, I won't go into too much because we've had a lot of discussion about the importance of having good data going in so that we can have good outcomes coming out. But one point I do want to stress is you don't have to wait for the perfect data model or the perfect data warehouse to get started in AI. AI itself is not homogeneous, so then there are different types of models you can pilot and get started, even if you have a low level of volume of data, and start with a more incremental approach in testing the waters in AI and gradually building up your muscles or capabilities in this space. So it's something you don't, even if it's you're in the early stages of the journey, it doesn't mean millions and millions of dollars of investment to try it out and see how it can help you. The second area is on the ROI and how you can go about defining what is the value that AI can bring to your business. And a lot of clients that we work with get easily intimidated by this because it's such a new area and it's not really clear how you can go about defining the business case. But the business case itself is like with any kind of transformations that you're doing, you're trying to identify, where are those points that it's going to change behavior, where is it going to add some sort of, whether it's productivity, revenue growth, whatever those value points are, by understanding where your in AI will influence the actual people and the teams who are going to use it, that will help you to isolate the points of value. And then you can start looking at how do you then break that down into measurable KPIs that you can assign some sort of value against. What we often do with clients is not try to be so rigid in saying this is the exact number that we're going to achieve. So we try and see, find some benchmarks of past clients that we worked with to evaluate what kind of results that they've had. Look at research studies to see, if it's for example, if it's a client in a medical device area that's trying it out in this specific region, has there been any research studies that we can leverage to say what's the typical impact that they expect, and then take a range instead of one single point in what could be the impact. This way you have a view on what, say, a more sort of pessimistic view, expected view, and a best case scenario on what's the outcome that you can expect. I think Sergio mentioned earlier, this is quite a new space, so it's difficult to predict what the outcome may end up being like. So then having a bit more of a flexible approach and taking a logical way to develop your business case can help to create that ROI that's based on informed assumptions rather than just taking a guess at it. The last area is in change management for the barriers that we see, which often in these programs becomes an afterthought. It comes in very much later at the implementation, and this can be a big a mistake for launches of technology as well as AI. We forget sometimes that we require in some cases require a big change in behavior in how we use the technology through the use of AI. So that can require a lot of training, communications to help people to adopt the technologies that we want to launch. So as one example, we have a voice assistant that use voice commands, so it's similar to Siri. So when we're launching this in the field force, the typical age of a field force user, about 50 to 60%, is over 50 years old. So now the technology landscape when they first started their career versus now is very different. So then that requires a very empathetic approach to help explain how can they shift to using this new technology, how does it benefit them and bring them value to help them do their job, address any concerns that they have in a very empathetic way so that it's not dismissive or sort of not really regarding their opinion. So making sure you take it seriously and being very transparent about how the AI is working. And also remembering that change might not always be linear, so that sometimes there's a lot of setbacks and people, it's go back to old habits. So then you have to be patient and see it as more of a long-term ongoing process that you have to help people adapt and learn, adopt to the new ways of working, so you have sustained change. What's important is that you try and understand what's the impact of change as early as possible. So you see that as a core part of your strategic planning when you try to launch different types of tools in AI. And then that will really help go a long way in making sure that transition and launch is as smooth as possible.
It almost goes back to, it's one thing that I hear quite a lot when people talk about AI is the idea of Edison and the light bulb, that you can't just invent the light bulb and hope that everybody knows how to use it and put it in their house. You have to also create the systems to support that, and you have to train people to use it and to inform others about it. Now, one of the things that you just mentioned, Charm, leads quite nicely into, we've had a couple of questions come in, and this is a question that I hear a lot, which is, are you concerned about the bias that AI can introduce in decision-making or recommendations? And are you concerned about any type of singularity? Who would like to take that one?
That's a great question. Well, from a Microsoft point of view, Sign, thank you for that. It's something that we have to address. It comes up in every project, every program that Microsoft gets involved in. So we're committed to fairness, reliability, privacy, security. Everyone at Microsoft throughout the whole business, goes through a whole ethical training and reconfirmation of how Microsoft approaches these topics. So we provide tools, so anybody can go to learn.microsoft.com, I think it is, and you can find some tools and the approaches of how we try to avoid bias in the models. The programs that we get involved in has to go through an ethical board to ensure that it's not going to be harmful AI, it's not going to be it won't expose data, or it won't be detrimental to individuals or to organizations. So we have a lot of inclusivity as well. The models and the AI that we create and our partners create that get hosted on our cloud platform are inclusive and open to all individuals as well. So there's an enablement part to this. So from the Microsoft point of view, we provide the tools that will help secure, that will help with the privacy, and also with the overcoming those types of bias. And then we have the partners, our partners. It's an extensive ecosystem, organizations like Trueblue, that then have their IP as well. So it's a really important topic at Microsoft, and our company is built on trust.
I think
if I can add a quick comment here as well. I think when it comes to managing bias, it's most likely never going to be a matter of eliminating bias, but you can manage and minimize it by helping to set the parameters. Through the use of tech like generative AI, one new process it's introducing is the orchestration of knowledge as well, which becomes very important. So for data quality, data governance, that's been around for a very long time, and we're used to managing the quality of data. But the concept of managing knowledge that is an input into generative AI models, this is a new process that's coming in, because how are the interlinks between the different knowledge bases or documents or those wikis that we might have internally. This becomes very critical to have a process governing this information as well, because they're the main inputs going into your data, the AI models. So if they're outdated, the AI is not going to know this is the old information. You need an internal process to manage the upkeep of that and make sure everything going in, whether it's data, document format, video format, whatever format is coming in, is accurate and providing the correct information.
I think that's a really, really important part of the process, is making sure that we are going through and updating as we go along. And it goes back to what you're saying, is AI is not perfect. Its output is a tool for us to use as we do our job. So you constantly have those checks and balances as you're going through. Now, we are coming to the end of the session, and we do have one more question that I'd like to get to. So I'm quickly going to make one of our last two polls live before I ask the final audience question, because I think this leads back to what you were saying, Charm, earlier about the transition from sort of analog technology to digital technology, and now to AI tools, which is how do you suggest going about assessing existing AI solutions for use in pharma in terms of ownership of outputs and their safety, security? If you're putting your own proprietary information in, you want to make sure that it's secure and that what you own, what comes out of it. And this is the key bit that made this question jump out at me. It's developments are being made so quickly that tools are improving exponentially, and tools may be considered unsafe to use may quickly become so, and it's difficult to keep up.
So who's going for that?
Andrew, do you want to take that one?
I'll start. I think it'd be a great discussion with Enric as well. But so from our perspective, so I talked about all the layers of security and compliance and everything else. We conform to the regulatory authorities in all the different areas where we have our cloud service. But then when you dig down a bit deeper, the question is about your own data. You don't want to. It's your proprietary competitive information that you don't want to share anywhere else. And we've had stories of the early days of generative AI, how it was exposed to external information. We've never done that, or to external sources. So at Microsoft, we've never done that. This is so. We have the tools and the platform in place that allows our organizations like Boehringer to actually RAG the type of generative AI where we train and keep the data within the boundary of that organization. So whether it's a single modality or whether it's global, the information that's at that organization stays inside that organization. So it doesn't get exposed externally. It doesn't get used to train anything else externally, even Microsoft's own interfaces. It's kept entirely secure and privately for that organization. And that's where those guardrails come in, so that you can start using generative AI RAG to start focusing in on the specific topic area that data comes from. Enric, have you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, basically I would say it depends on the type of data. If you're looking at, clinical trials are publicly available. It's data that you might have different restrictions, and it's similar to the journey of data quality or data governance. If you already have a data culture, so people lock the computers, they don't save in the personal emails, they have this culture that you have evolved in the organization. You will decide on what the type of data that you want to analyze, if you go more internal, external, hybrid, or how you cap the system. So it's a matter of the use case, I would say. And in some partners, you can even agree on IP shared, so that you own your own IP, so depending on the partner.
Fantastic. I'm just going to quickly announce the second to last poll results, which is, in your opinion, which is the best strategy for starting an AI journey? 66% said focus on small, quick win projects. We had 0% for invest in data infrastructure, 0% for building internal AI capabilities from scratch, and 33% partner with external AI experts. I think that's quite on par with what we've been seeing outside in the industry. Now, before I move over to our final question of the day and the wrap up, I have one last poll for you, which is, how quickly does your organization want to move forward with AI transformation? So we've talked about people are very open to it. They're in the early stages, but how quickly? Is it immediately? You're already moving at full speed. Within 6 months, your plans are in motion, but you need a bit more time. Within 1 to 2 years, it's priority, but not urgent. Undecided, still evaluating. Or do you have no plans? Is it not on your agenda at all? Please do get your answers in. And while we're awaiting those, I would like to know, to close our session today, can I have just a brief one recommendation for the audience to progress their journey into AI? What would you suggest? Sergio, do you want to go first? Sergio, hang on, you're muted. Bear with me one moment. Take it away.
Yeah, okay. No, I was trying, I was muted, but I was trying to comment you on the question before, but I think it's good introduction for my closing remarks. So sometimes those, let's say, trying to answer all of those questions, would it be secure, would it be safe, whatever, sometimes you should reflect, is this just an alibi? It's an alibi to resist to change, because change is painful. Everyone is looking for change, but then when you really do something that is changing, that will change yourself, you realize that it's painful. So I think the most important question is, let's say, use trusted platform like Microsoft, because Microsoft, they need to be trusted, otherwise they would be out of business. So it's part of their business model to be trusted and the people see trusted. So they're investing so many amounts of money in this guy. So let's get to, in terms of tools, go to trusted partners. And of course, given that we are partner of Microsoft, we do believe that Microsoft is a truly trusted partner. But on the other side, again, don't look for perfection, because most of the time you could realize that this is just an byte to this change, to switch the decision that could be painful for you, it could be painful for whatever, or it just be it will just be a big impact on everything that you do. And given that this technology can have a huge impact on the way you do things, so be careful of these alibi running around you that there is always a problem for not doing things. Just look for the good reason to do that, not reason for not doing, because otherwise someone else will be more risk adverse, risk taker than you, and it will overcome you, and then you will realize it's too late.
It's a great point. You'll always find reasons not to do something if you're looking for them. Enric, do you want to offer your final
short. It's a journey. Take your peers with you and start earlier.
Peers with you. Andrew?
Yeah, I don't think there's any pharma organization that doesn't have a strategy right now. Can you afford not to? But I think just experiment, start right away. You can use Bing Chat, or you can go and take a look at Copilot or something like that. So like Enric said, it's a journey, but like start experimenting straight away. And if you haven't done so already, which I'd be astonished if this audience hasn't, then jump into it, because it's amazing what kind of results you'll get.
And Charm, do you want to wrap us up?
It's start by understanding where you're having the problems first. Don't try to force fit AI into a problem where it may not fit. So it's not a substitute for your own understanding of your business vision and the goals. But a means to help you achieve it.
Fantastic. Just to give you the poll results for how quickly people are moving forward, it's a bit of a split. 50% are already moving at full speed. And then we've got a 25% split between 6 months and 1 and 2 years. So it does look like everybody, as you say, is on track and is pursuing AI. Thank you all for joining us today. Thank you so much to Sergio, to Enric, to Andrew, and to Charm for joining me. If you want to learn more from Trueblue, please do get in touch via the slide on your screen now. As I said earlier, the entire webinar will be available to view on demand. You'll get an email to send you all of the vital information to access that in the following few days. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope to join you again soon. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Thank you.